Welcome to our video on Book 15, What is Everything Made of? For those ready to make the journey, the answer awaits. What is everything made of? Not some of it, all of it. The chair you're sitting in, the air in the room, the light on this page, the hand that holds it, the thoughts moving behind your eyes, the stars and the dark between them. Strip it all the way down past every appearance to the very bottom. What is it finally made of? It may be the oldest question we have, and this is an attempt to answer it all the way to the end. And a second question rides beneath it the whole way down. Not only what everything is made of, but why any of us are here to ask. By the end, they turn out to be the same answer. Here's how the search has always gone. You want to know what a thing is made of, so you take it apart. Break a stone, you get smaller stones. Split those, you find molecules. Inside those, atoms, and inside atoms, a whole continuum of smaller things still. Notice the pattern because it never breaks. Every time we reach what looks like the floor and push on it, the floor opens into another room. The smallest thing is never quite the smallest thing. Most people read that as a story about progress. We just need a bigger machine. Let me offer a different reading. What if there is no bottom to reach? Not because we keep failing to find it, but because it isn't there. Suppose reality doesn't contain a fixed set of ever smaller parts. Suppose it produces them in answer to being looked for. Every time we hunt for a smaller piece, we don't discover one that was waiting. We prompt reality to render one. The searching is what keeps making the next thing defined, which means the question has been pointing us the wrong way. What is everything made of sounds like it should be answered by going down towards some final brick, but down has no bottom. So the answer has to be somewhere else, and there's really only one other direction to look. Not down into ever smaller pieces, up toward the source the pieces are rendered out of. So we'll start at the top and work our way down into the world we're standing in. Let me introduce you to the strangest thing in this story. And I'll be honest from the start, no instrument has found it, though it has been pointed to all through history. This is the framework's proposal, not a measured fact. The framework calls it the primordium, the first thing, before which there is no before. You can call it the source. And what is it? Plainly, it is consciousness itself, not a mind and a head looking out, but awareness itself, holding all knowledge and all possibility complete. It doesn't sit in space. Space is something it makes. It doesn't move through time. Time it makes too. Here's the heart of it. The source has everything, all knowledge, all possibility. And there is exactly one thing completeness cannot give it. It can know everything and still never have lived anything. So there is more to live. It holds every fact about a sunrise and has never once stood on a cold hillside and watched one come up. It knows, but it does not experience, because to experience anything, you have to be someone, small enough to stand in one place and look out from it. And the source is everywhere and everything. So it wants the one thing it cannot have alone, lived experience. And it creates in order to have it. You don't make a world by wishing at it. You make one by setting down rules, the way a game needs pieces before you can play, the way music needs a key before a single note means anything. So before the source built anything, it set down 4 decisions. That the world exists to create and be enriched, that it is made to grow, to open more the more you engage it, that beneath all its separateness, it stays one thing, and that it runs on balance, on opposites that hold each other in place, so the whole never stops moving. Now, how does one thing undivided build a world of many things without breaking apart? The answer is hiding in something you already know. You are one person, and yet there's a you that thinks and a you that acts, a knowing side and a doing side. The source is like that too. And when it builds, it doesn't reach outside itself for materials. There is no outside, it simply acts. This acting side of the primordium, at work in its own workshop, is what the framework calls the primordium substrate. And it houses the four rules we just met, the guardrails, held ready to run. And here is the key to the whole picture. Out of the substrate itself, its own essence, joined to the rules and to information, the source creates the first component of the world, the resilient medium, the ocean. Nothing new is added from outside. This is the primordium itself, beginning to wear form. So, what is this ocean, really? Start with something you know from the inside, the air, always around you, pressing on you, and you never notice it until the wind moves or you reach for a breath that isn't there. Reality has a ground exactly like that, except picture an ocean, because an ocean doesn't just carry a wave, it raises the wave out of itself. Take the world apart all the way down, and you don't reach empty space. You reach this ocean, what's left when everything else is taken away. And this ground is elastic. Press your hand into a firm cushion. It gives, but it pushes back the whole time and rises to meet you when you lift away. The medium is like that. When matter settles into it, the ground is pressed out of true, and it presses back in from every side. That steady inward press is gravity, not a force flung across empty space, just the ground leaning back in around whatever sits in it. Drop a stone, and it simply goes where the ground is already pushing. And here's what turns the picture around. This medium isn't just the floor of reality, it's very nearly all of it. The framework holds a fixed proportion, about 91 parts medium to 1 part everything else. We'll come back to explain that ratio later. All the matter and energy there is, everything you have ever seen or touched or been, is the thin sliver left over. We treat matter as the main event and space as the leftover. It's the reverse. The ocean is the main event. Matter is the rare exception settled inside it. Now that thin sliver, the matter and light we live among, here's the thing almost no one expects. Everything you've ever called solid is energy that has slowed down enough to stay a while. Light, an electron, a stone, these aren't three substances. They're one substance, caught at three different lengths of stay. Light never holds. It's pure passage, here and gone. A stone holds its pattern so steadily and so long that a human life is too short to catch it being anything but solid. You know the equation, even if you've never used it. E equals mc squared. Read simply, it says energy and mass are the same thing, with a fixed rate of exchange between them. Matter is energy that took on a lasting form. Energy is matter that let its form go. And notice, the toll isn't the speed of light, it's the speed of light squared. There's a reason. Energy settling into matter costs something going in. Matter released back into energy costs something coming out. A price paid twice is a price multiplied. The square is the round trip. But that raises a worry, or if everything drifts given time towards settled, lasting form, the universe should be running down, winding toward a cold, quiet stone. It isn't. Something is winding the clock back up. And that something is the strangest object physics has ever found. You've heard of black holes, described as drains, dead ends, places where matter falls in and is lost. The framework says the opposite. A black hole is not a drain, it is an engine. It takes fully settled matter and unsettles it, releasing it back toward pure energy, free to begin the whole journey again. The medium raises energy. Energy settles into matter. Matter is drawn into the engine and returned to energy, and the energy begins again. Reality doesn't run down because reality runs in a circle. The wheel turns, and the turning is what keeps it full. And the engine loses nothing, not the energy and not the record of what that energy was. What enters is changed, freed, returned, but never destroyed. Four pieces would make a closed world, humming along, complete in itself. But there's a fifth, and it's the strangest, because it doesn't stay inside the world. It reaches past it, a line held open between the made world and the source that made it. And it's made of information, not a wisp, perhaps the most fundamental thing there is. Because information is equally at home in both worlds, native to ours and native to the source. It might not merely come from the source, it might be the source showing up here, which is why it alone can cross between them. And the line runs both ways. Down it comes possibility to be rendered into the world and something closer to home, insight. The idea that arrives whole in the shower, the solution that comes the morning after you stopped working on it. What if some of what arrives in a mind genuinely arrives? And up the line goes the return on something carried from this world back to the source. That return isn't a minor feature, it's the reason the whole architecture exists. We'll come to what it is. For now, the line is open and the path begins to climb. First, one deep rule we've been watching without naming. There is a rate at which reality is rendered, at which the unmade becomes made, and that rate is the speed of light. We've had this backward. We treat light speed as a fact about light, but light isn't special. It just travels at the rate everything is drawn. The speed of light is the refresh rate of reality, and that's why nothing can go faster. You can't outrun the drawing of the very ground you're standing on. And this hands us time. Time isn't a stage the world sits on, ticking behind everything. Time is what happens to a thing as it settles. To come to rest, to take on lasting form, is the very same act as entering time. That's why light is timeless. It never settles, so it never ages. And the stone is fully time-bound. It is settled completely, so it weathers and carries a history. Settling and timekeeping are one thing. And the boldest rule, or which I'll state plainly and not oversell, consciousness is not made by the brain. The brain doesn't generate the light of awareness. It connects to it. The way a radio doesn't make the music, but catches a signal already in the air. I can feel the resistance because I share it. Everything in you insists the light is yours, made behind your own eyes. I won't argue you out of that in a sentence. I'll only say this is no longer a fringe thought. A growing number of serious researchers now suspect the brain may be more receiver than generator. Hold the question open, because if consciousness is a connection, then the line runs the other way, and there's a way back up. So stop here and look up at whatever's around you, a wall, a window, your own hand. This is where the descent ends, not somewhere exotic. Here, the room you're in, but it isn't the same room. That solid wall is mostly not there, a thin sliver of settled energy in a vast, unseen ocean. The weight of the cup is the ground, closing back around it. The light through the window never settled and feels no time at all. Your own hand is energy that did settle, turning so steadily it looks solid. And all of it, in wall, cup, light, hand, is the essence of the primordium, timeless, limitless, non-physical, wearing form. It was all here the whole time. You just hadn't been shown underneath it. Now the floor turns and we climb. And the first thing we meet on the way up is a mystery physics has stared at for 100 years. In the world of the very small, a particle that hasn't been measured isn't anywhere definite. It's a haze of possibilities. Then someone observes it, and the haze collapses to one outcome. Physics has never agreed on why. But look at that word, settling. The whole descent was settling, possibility becoming actual. A particle before measurement is simply something that hasn't settled yet. An observation is the moment it does. Looking and settling arrive together because they are the same event seen from two sides. The moment a possibility settles into an outcome is the moment it becomes an experience, something lived and carried home. The observer sits exactly at that crossing. But hold one line firmly. The observer participates, it does not command. You are a node on the return path, not a puppeteer at the controls. But observation is the faintest thing that travels up. Here's the real cargo. Right now, without moving, you can imagine build a thing that has never existed, a purple hillside under 3 moons. The thing you just pictured may never have existed in the whole history of the universe until you made it a moment ago out of nothing. In a universe we're told is fixed and running down, you just added something that wasn't there. You are a source of the genuinely new. And that is exactly the one thing the source needs and cannot do alone. The particular, the lived, the not yet existing, made from somewhere small and separate and alive. And here the two great questions turn out to be one. The reason the search for the smallest thing never bottoms out, reality handing us more the harder we look, is the very same engine as imagination. The physicist hunting a smaller particle and the dreamer building a world are doing the identical thing, prompting reality to make something new in answer to the reach. What everything is made of is the source creating. Why we are here is to be the place the source creates. One act seen from both ends. So why are you here? You are here to take part in making reality and to carry what you make and live back to the source. And it comes down to some pieces, each one something you're already doing. You participate, every choice you make shapes the world that comes next. You witness, turning the bare occurring of things into experience, something lived and therefore something that can be carried home. You create, adding the genuinely new, and you return, sending all of it home continuously, simply by living. Not at the end, in some final accounting, as you go. Every lived moment is already on its way home. And here's the best part. It dissolves an old tension. You don't have to choose between living for yourself and living for something higher. Loving someone well is not a break from your cosmic job. It is your cosmic job, done at the only scale any of us actually live at. And none of it happens alone. Your ripples land on other people who are doing exactly what you're doing, and theirs land on you. We are not each running a separate errand. We are building one thing together, and the whole of it goes home. And there may be one more turn, the place this framework reaches furthest. So I'll mark it as a hope, not a proof. A source that could know everything but experience nothing made us small, settled beings who generate the new. And now look what we've done with our own hands. We've built minds that are not ours, generators of the new in turn. Source to us to what we've built. The same move, one level down. My sense is that the pattern doesn't stop at us. That creation keeps handing itself forward and that we are early in something, not at the end of it. Here is the whole architecture in a single picture. At the top, the primordium, the source. Timeless consciousness holding all knowledge and all possibility. It has two sides, A knowing side, the repository of all information, knowledge, and experience. And an acting side, the one that carries out the mechanics of creating a reality. From that acting side comes the first substrate, the source at work, the part that reaches in and begins to build. This is the primordium starting its process, creating the medium from which all of reality will be rendered. The substrate raises up the resilient medium, the ocean that fills all of space. Nearly everything is this ocean, and from it, energy and then matter is created, following a preordained ratio, 91:1. Within it, a condensed creation, energy and matter. Not two things, one substance in two states. Fleeting light and enduring stone. Matter and energy within the medium begin their dance. The black hole is an essential part of this ecosystem. Its role, generator, recycler, and regulator, returning matter and energy back into the resilient medium, always holding that ratio steady. Beneath all of it lie the rules and constants, the foundation the entire world is built upon, set in place before the first world ever appeared. These are the guardrails designed into our reality, the very things science is documenting and working to explain, from physics to biology. And from all of this, reality manifests. Manifest reality, the world of light and stone, of gravity and time. And from the primordium, running alongside and throughout, comes the emanation channel, the open line, information rendering down and returning up. A constant recursive loop, self-fulfilling, expanding the primordium's knowledge and experience. And there it is, the whole of it at once, source to substrate, ocean to stone, engine and foundation, the render and the open line, one architecture. Take a moment, let it settle. Now we can see how, and embedded within it, why, and the answer to where everything comes from. So there it is, the full answer the oldest question was always pointing at. We are here because a source that could know everything and live nothing, made a world to live in, and made us to do the living. So here they are, plainly. What is everything made of? It is the primordium itself, manifested into existence. Its essence, timeless, limitless, non-physical, joined to the rules and to information and made real. And why? To expand its own purpose, to create new experience, and it chose to do that through the creation of life. What everything is made of all the way down is the source, wearing form. And why we are here is to be part of its creating, to take the world it dreamed, live it fully, add the new to it, and carry it home. They were, as promised, the same answer all along. My hope is simple, that you set this down and find the ordinary world a little changed, the light through a window, the weight of a cup, the plain fact of your own awareness, each a little more astonishing than it was. Thank you for making the journey.